So, good afternoon. Welcome back to another show. And I'm John. And this afternoon, I've got two lads who both love Italian football. One's from Milan, and we're both live in Milan. One's from Crewe. So, the first one I'm going to offer you is good afternoon to Tommy.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us on, John. It's a real pleasure. It's been a while that we haven't talked football online. At least I haven't. There have been some moving from a house to the other one. I've helped my family move to southern Spain. So it actually feels good finally to sit down and chat some football again. Thank you very much for having us on.
You're welcome, my guy, anytime. And I've also got with me is Rory. Is it Rory?
Rory's fine, Rory. Don't worry. Hello, everybody. Great to be here. And again, I feel like a tournament is, it's my favorite thing in the world, international football, international tournaments. So anytime I can sit down and chat football, I'm more than happy to, definitely.
Good lad. And thanks, guys, for coming on the show. But if you are watching this, can you please subscribe to my channel, stick a like on the video, and also do follow Tommy and Rui on their Twitter and their iPad as well, YouTube channel as well. So, so get followed. That'd be amazing. So, going to talk about the Euros as well. First off, Italy. They played 2 games under Mancini, and the way they play it in a minute, often for me, they're going to go all the way this season. And they are scored some cracking goals, 6 goals in 2 games, non-conceded, playing in Rome. And Tommy, are you impressed with Mancini's men?
I think it was a great start to the tournament. I was a little bit underwhelmed with our opposition. I was one of the few people who said that our group would be a little tricky because on paper, Turkey and Switzerland especially looked a bit better than what they displayed during the games against Italy. So I was expecting a bit more of a fight, but of course, praise goes to the Italy team because I think they played very good football overall. So it wasn't only defense and counterattack. It was actually both games. It felt like there was a very strong midfield who was able to, keep the opposition away from progressing. We were proposing different solutions up front, and I think we never really looked in danger. And the few times that the opposition might have scored a goal, our defenders came in clutch. Our goalkeeper had a very good save in the last game against Switzerland. And so I think that things are looking pretty good, maybe a little too good, because historically, Italy tended to do better under pressure. When, there has been a footballing scandal back home, it feels like those type of things really tended to unite the team to fight against something. But in this case, they just look like a group of very, overall, pretty young lads with a few veterans who are just having a good time, and they are coached by a very good manager that we know, Roberto Mancini. But I think not many people expected this team to perform that well after only 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's very un-Italian-like, isn't it? They're not used to this kind of football in Italy. I mean, the thing is, they just want to score goal, defend out of the way through the game, and just sit back all the time to the bar. But I've so often, they're up to 2 matches I've seen of them. My God, after being absolutely fantastic, I just enjoyed it. I think it's great to watch. Perhaps you can teach Gareth Southgate a thing or two how to play deep. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Wow. So let's move on to Rory. Good afternoon to you, my guy. And same question. Are you impressed with the way Mancini set his team? 4-3-3, urban attacking football. And have they, like Tommy said, have they peaked too early though? Are they playing too good at the minute?
I think it's a weird one, right? Because Italy usually do start tournaments really slowly and then somehow find themselves in the semi-finals. So I think it is, but it's a very un-Italian team. Like Tommy kind of covered it, and you said yourself, they're not playing the kind of score one and sit back. And now that hasn't been so fashionable in Italy for a while now, but it has still been their kind of if they struggle, it's what they revert back to. And I think at the moment, they're just concentrating on getting goals. They're playing fluid football. It's fast. It's exciting. That front three, Immobile, Insigne, and Berardi, it takes them a few chances to score, but they're getting the goals. And I think the fact that they're able to interchange their positions so much just means the defenders can't keep up with them. I think they're the team that have impressed me the most so far, without a doubt. And I think people are saying they haven't played a decent team. Now, before the tournament, both Turkey and Switzerland were highlighted as dark horses. Now, obviously, they haven't played as well as they could have done, but I think people are still dismissing what Italy have done a bit too easily. Like, if we can quickly go to England beat Croatia 1-0, and all of a sudden we're going to win the trophy. Italy win 2 games 3-0, and they haven't shown enough, if you know what I mean. So I think it's a weird one. I think Italy by far have been the most impressive team, especially as France are currently losing 1-0 to Hungary. Yeah. I think Italy are definitely looking the best at the moment.
I'm not gonna disagree with that. I thought Italy are absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I watched that game, 2 games. I thought, wow, this team's going to go all the way. And people are saying that the Premier League is the world's best league. Really? I don't think so. I do not think so. It's good for the money. It's good.
Yeah.
It's money league. It's best for league when it comes to money. But when it comes to style and football, I'm sorry, but for me, it's just not good. All they look after is the big 6, and that is it. That is why that Mancini's picked 3 Sassuolo players, Locatelli, Berardi, and Raspadori as well. And it just goes to show, it doesn't matter where you play. If you're good enough and he's got confidence in you, that's great. Can you imagine Gareth Southgate pick 3 or 4 players for teams like Brentford, Norwich, and Watford? No. Not even Newcastle. Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, not a chance. Not a chance. Well, we can see from last night, like, Sterling is only in that side because he plays for City. If you know what I mean, there's a few players that they're only there because of the club they play for. But I think, Mancini has shown. He's reminded people how good a coach he is, and he's selected a very, very good squad. And Tommy was right. I think they really get on. They just all seem to really like each other. There's good chemistry there. And this Sassuolo-inspired team is beautiful to see. Like, that link up between Berardi and Locatelli is, like, incredible.
I mean, that goal by Locatelli, he opened the play with a volley with his left foot and finishes the play with a tap in with his right foot, running the entire pitch. That was beautiful to see. And another thing that I think is very important to consider when we talk about Italy, I did say it in our podcast, the Anglo-Italian pod, sometime before the Euro. I think that Italy kind of have an obligation to do well in this tournament because our players, the majority of our players, they're young, but not so young. I don't know how many more tournaments they are going to be playing. And at the same time, if we look at squads like England, France, they're full of youngsters that can only improve over time. So I think that if Italy, that's the club I support. I always mix them up. I think that if Italy really want to win an international tournament, or just let alone perform well in an international tournament, this is the chance. And as Rory was saying, Switzerland and Turkey were considered dark horses. And I think that it's not that they didn't play. I think that Italy's game plan was very accurate against them. And right now we're seeing that France are down 1-0 against Hungary. And I mean, also England, they played Scotland last night. Of course, there is a rivalry, there is a history, but it's not like one of the strongest oppositions you're going to face if you want to win the tournament. I think that Italy, together with Belgium, however, Belgium, there will be a discussion about the difference between their defense and their offense, which is pretty stark. I think they're the 2 teams that have most impressed me so far, definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I mean, Belgium's first half, the last game against Denmark wasn't great, but they picked up in the second half really well. Lukaku, outstanding in the first game, but quiet in the second game. De Bruyne, what can you say about him? Class that. But I mean, who's impressed you so far? I can never back 6 or 7 of them. I mean, you got 2 centre halves, Chiellini and Bonucci, absolutely outstanding. Lorenzo, I quite like him. Spinazzola, quietly going along his business as well. And in the midfield, you got Jorginho, you got Locatelli, Barella, you got Verratti as well. And you got some cracking players there in Italy. But for me, I like Spinazzola. I like him. And Locatelli's been impressive. Verratti, outstanding. And everyone's saying about Immobile isn't a big game player, but he scored twice in 2 games. He's come back before. I do like Immobile. I mean, he leads the line quite well. What do you think of that one, Tommy?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that Berardi is definitely a great call-up, and to start him, it's even better than the call-up. So this is a guy who's been performing for the past 5 years, I would say, in Italy, but he's always played for Sassuolo. A few coaches, a few national team managers, they didn't really have the guts to call him to the national team because he wasn't that big of a name. But this year, he's really earned it. You were talking about Spinazzola. Spinazzola has had a very, very good season this year. He was recorded the fastest player at the Euros so far in the game against Switzerland. And our midfield, I mean, we've got so many options. You were saying a few of the names. We've got Jorginho, Champions League winner, one of the protagonists for Chelsea's season. Then we've got Manuel Locatelli, who is probably going to end up either at Juventus or PSG.
Arsenal. He's coming to Arsenal. Don't worry about it.
If I could tell him something, it would be not to go to Arsenal. We've got Nicolo Barella, who is one of those names that you don't really notice him during the game. It's like, bass in rock music. You don't really hear the bass, but if you remove the bass line from the track, you cannot recognize the song. That's like Barella's role in our team. And another thing about Serie A in general, people have been ripping on Serie A, calling it a farmers league and everything. But we've seen how many players have actually scored from Serie A, or players that used to play in Serie A. So it feels like it's a bit of a renaissance for our league. And these players that you were mentioning, they're being given the chance of a lifetime. Berardi, Spinazzola, they are not disappointing. They want to go all the way to the end. I think there is also an ingredient that I really don't understand, why Italy are playing all the games in Rome. I think that's a huge advantage when I think about it. Like England are playing all the games in Wembley, correct?
Yeah, it's a weird one, I think. That like some teams are just getting home advantage because Spain are getting all their games in Seville. France are playing away, actually, so somebody doesn't like the French. Germany, I think, have played their games in Germany. So I think this home advantage thing is a bit weird for me at an international tournament. Yeah.
Very, very. I mean, I think it's good to spell it all out. Doing something for Euro competitions, definitely. You know what I mean? That gives everyone a chance, and the fans see it closer to home. And I think it's a good one. But it's just the way forward. You just never know. I've got some comments there, by the way. I've got Leila as well. Spinazzola has impressed me. He's been absolutely fantastic. You got it could happen to 3 countries of Britain could qualify for last 16: Scotland, Wales, and England. Would it be great to see all these home nations qualify for the late stage? We're going to step up. It's another thing. And Thomas, hi, John, tomorrow, and Rui. Hope you're okay, Thomas. Jeez, Harry, John, big up yourself. I hope so well. And cheers again. There's Tommy, Johnny Depp.
I tell you, that is a compliment and half. That, my God, you've done all well. You've done all right there, Tommy.
Yeah, it's because I just showered and shaved. If you had seen me 10 minutes prior, you wouldn't have said that.
Oh brilliant. Man, sorry about that, man. But you're famous now, like it's an Italian Johnny Depp.
Dude, literally nobody had said that before in my life. Thank you very much, Jet Bish. We've got to get in touch, definitely.
Guys, it's fantastic. There you go. But yeah, I mean, I was going to say, if you look at front, I mean, you got players like Chiesa kind of getting the team. You got Bastoni kind of getting the team. Lorenzo Pellegrini is out injured, I think. And, all these players sort of thing, you've got some cracking reserves coming through, like, I mean, these players can step in and do the job. I'd like to see Raspadori, see how he does tomorrow against Wales. I know you qualified. It's nice to see how he does. He's quick, scores. His movement is absolutely fantastic. Play wide. Very impressive, this kid. Playing for Sassuolo. Really, and a lot of fans, even me, chat, have not heard of this team, Sassuolo. They are based in Reggio Emilia. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Reggio Emilia.
Yeah, Sassuolo is actually a small town close to Reggio Emilia, but their local stadium is too small to play Serie A games, so they get to play in Reggio Emilia, which is the closest big town where they can play. But yeah, another thing, as you were saying, tomorrow, I think against Wales, a lot of players are going to get a chance since we are already qualified. And there is an argument, since we are in Italy, that it might actually be better to qualify second rather than first. I still believe that it's better to win old games that you're given rather than start calculating who your opponent might be. But I think that tomorrow we're going to see Alessandro Bastoni in his debut in an international tournament, which is definitely very exciting. As you said, Lorenzo Pellegrini is out injured. He actually had to be dropped from the Italy squad, and he was replaced by Gaetano Castrovilli from Fiorentina.
I like him. He's good. He's very good.
The streets remember Gaetano Castrovilli.
A lot of time for this guy. A lot of time for this guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm also curious to see how because we're playing with a 4-3-3, which is also a very convincing lineup, in my opinion, for an international tournament. We know how Italians like to line up with a 3-man defense, but I would rather play it safe and have 4-man at the back. But it's going to be interesting to see, especially all these different midfielders, the different features that they can bring to the way our squad plays. Definitely Castrovilli, if he gets a chance to play, he's an incredibly creative player, and so we might see a little bit more flair up front, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Yeah. So with me, I mean, Kiers, I can't get in the team. I'll sure he'll be playing tomorrow, and yeah, I mean, the fact is, I mean, I didn't expect Italy to do that much, if I'm honest with you, but the first 2 games I witnessed, they've been absolutely amazing. And yeah, if you go, it's better than what happened in 2018. They didn't qualify for the World Cup when they couldn't beat Sweden and in the middle kit. But Ventura, I tell you what, when I saw that game, when the finals went, I thought it was a national tragedy. That can't ever happen again. At World Cup without Italy, it is an absolute disgrace. I mean, Ventura got his tactics so wrong. He's trying to get Dino Rossi to come on the pitch on the 60-yard minute. He refused to come on. He needed a striker to come on the pitch, and he turns to Dino De Rossi, and he refused to go on. That tells me no faith in the coach.
Well, I was actually at that game at San Siro. I was at the 0-0 when it was confirmed that they weren't going to qualify. And it was a really weird atmosphere because it was like everyone at the beginning of the game was like, oh, we've got this. We'll score one. We're definitely going. And then as the minutes passed, it got tenser and tenser and angrier and angrier. And by like the 70th minute, people were just losing their shit, like throwing stuff and just going mad. I was like, I need to get out of this stadium because people are going insane. It was the most like, I think, well, Tommy, you can cover this, I think, but like, it was such a shame that Italy weren't in the World Cup, obviously, because I wanted to be in Italy when the pubs are full, people watching the game, and it did feel like there was like a week of mourning afterwards of people just in absolute shell shock of the fact that they weren't going to qualify. And it amazed me that Ventura is still in a job. He's still working somewhere, right?
I think he got a job recently. I would have to double check, but imagine I was in the United States at the time. It was November, and God, Americans making fun of me for not qualifying for the World Cup.
Wow.
It was a nightmare of a situation. But as I'm in Spain right now, and I was watching the game with the Spanish commentary, and they were saying that it's actually quite amazing that crisis lasted so short. It didn't really drag on. I think that the Italian Football Federation did an incredible good job at saying we got to sit down, drop a plan, bring in a coach who's got clear ideas, who's got experience. Let's not forget that Mancini is also widely known for being very good at recognizing young talent. Mario Balotelli, he started playing football under Mancini. Mancini saw him play for the Inter's youth team, and he was like, this kid, I'm going to bring him on for the Coppa Italia game against Juventus. And in his debut, he scored 2 goals. So I think the Italian Football Federation definitely did a very good job. And I think that the fans, after missing out on the World Cup, and after last year we were ready for the championship, then it didn't happen. I think that the Italian people are really ready to see this team perform, do something big. The 2006 World Cup win was an incredible win, but our generation has never won a Euro Cup, a European championship. So I think it would be, and the other championship that we won back in '68, I want to say, we went to the final thanks to a coin flip. So if we want to show that we can do well in the continent where football started, I think this is the opportunity to make a statement.
Yeah, definitely, and carry on to the World Cup as well. Go back to Gianpaolo Ventura when he left Italy. He managed Salernitana, couldn't get them up. Well, before that, he managed Chievo and Salernitana, and he's not managing anywhere at the minute in time. So he may as well just retire. He's 70 now, and the jobs are coming. It's going to be tough on him, sort of thing. So yeah,
Spurs,
yeah, Spurs are looking for a manager.
I tell you what, I mean, Steve Bruce, they can have Steve Bruce in that. Yeah. They're welcome to him as well. You know what I mean? All the things he's doing a wonderful job. And he even said that he's done better than Rafa Benitez. So that is the case. Why has his name not been on the list?
I'll tell you what, I would quite happily see Steve Bruce at Spurs. I will take that. Yes, please.
Coming from an Arsenal fan. Talking up quickly about Spurs, right? What a mess doing. Did you honestly thought that Conte was going to grow the Spurs? Really?
There was a day where I was genuinely scared, and I thought, "Oh crap, he's actually going to go there, and they're going to do something." Then obviously they just Spursed it up, and now they're like scratching around the bottom of the barrel at the job centre, seeing who's left. I think it's like 6 managers now that they've looked at. So, yeah, absolute shit show. But I personally am enjoying it quite a lot.
Wow. And I'll tell you what as well. I'm not being funny, but if you look at it, they went from Nagelsmann, they went from Ten Hag, right? They both turned at Doom, yeah. One's on a contract, one's gone to Bayern Munich, yeah. Then there's Conte. Then they messed up against Fonseca. Now, I heard yesterday about Fonseca. He said that the talks went really, really well, and he was really looking forward to going there, yeah. And even his wife looked around London and got some interesting places to go. But apparently, right, Fonseca had to pay £3 million in tax, right, before he can take the job on. But he wanted Spurs to pay that. So they really wanted him. So, so that was what I've heard. Now, if that is true, that is embarrassing, man. You can't do that. Yeah. So embarrassing. Unbelievable. And then they went for Gattuso as well, and they actually pulled out because the Spurs fans did not want Gattuso. It's unbelievable. I can't believe that club under Levy. Levy's the problem, by the way. He is the problem. You know what I mean? And this is why he's got to take a step back and say, right, you know what? I'm going to listen to this matchup. I'm going to listen to Conte. I'm going to listen to Fonseca. I'm going to listen to Nagelsmann and Ventag, whatever his name is. Is it Van? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Ten
Hag. Yeah.
Ten Hag, yeah. But you know what it is, right? If I was a Spurs fan, right, I'll be absolutely embarrassed. It's a shite. It really is. I mean, that football club's got one of the best stadiums in the world. It's a 100 million stadium, right? Yet, Levy cannot get in a manager. And as Palatici, he's the problem as well. I mean,
I thought it was weird that they brought him in. He's not been good at Juve for a while. I think he was in charge at Juve, and then his last successful transfer window was about 10 years ago. I think it was a really weird move. Like Tommy might know more about him than I do, but he's now the sporting director there. Like I think for Spurs, the thing is they're trying to get elite managers, and then you're not going to get an elite manager without promising big financial investment. And this is what happened with Mourinho. Got fed up of it until they sacked him. Pochettino said, I'll come back, but I need money. Like obviously Conte, everywhere he goes, he needs 200 million to spend. He demands it because he's an elite manager. So you're not going to get these managers without it. So yeah, Levy is definitely the problem. Look, I just find it hilarious that they sacked their best ever manager. They sacked Pochettino. Can we just remember that? They sacked him. It was their choice, right? And ever since it's been downhill. Like, it's insane.
You know what it is, Rory? The club is an absolute mess. It really, really, really is, yeah. And I'm not being funny here. If you can't get these elite managers coming through the door, and you got a real problem. And Palatici, I think, I'm not being funny, right? But I don't think he's going to last neither. He hasn't even set foot the door yet. And it's causing problems. It's just absolute comedy gold. And it's just absolutely a madness, you know what I mean? I mean, you look at the Italian clubs, right? Look, like Conte left, straight away, Inzaghi, right? You also, Fiorentina, straight away, Gattuso, but he's gone after 23 years, yeah? You got all these managers come in, bang, straight in.
Quick decisions, yeah.
Everton's looking for a manager, right? Spurs looking for a manager. Palace is looking for a manager. Why are these managers not being filled up? I mean, Francesco, Jesse equalised, but
who scored it?
So, but I tell you what, though, it's absolutely ridiculous, man. It really is. That club is in a mess, and they need to fix up. The season starts in 2 months' time. If they don't fix up, then they're going to be in real trouble for the bath being kicked. There you go. I'm going to switch on to Serie A, right? I mean, obviously, Inter Milan won the league, breaking Juve's dominance, and I knew you'd do that. And I'm not surprised because, you know, I thought Andrea Pirlo, as much as I loved the guy, but he was not ready for the manager's job, not ready, too inexperienced in a job like that. And I'm sorry, but, you know, I'm glad Allegri's come back on a 4-year deal. I mean, I'm going to start with the champions of Inter. Simone Inzaghi, are you happy with that appointment? 2-year deal?
Look, at first, so of course, after it was a difficult one at first because it's very Inter. You know, we finally accomplished something huge, and it lasts 2 days, and then the manager leaves, and so it's like you kind of Conte is such a big name in the managing world. Irrationally, you would think that another huge name is going to sub in. I said irrationally, so I don't know. I expected one morning to wake up and to see Jurgen Klopp is our new manager, or to see Pochettino is our new manager, or Allegri even is our new manager. Of course, that wasn't possible because one big problem in Inter Milan is also the fact that the club has to sell. We don't have the money to pay the players because of the COVID and everything. But look, so first, there was actually a very funny bit in our pod, one of the last episodes. We were recording and we were talking about whether I liked this Inzaghi idea or not. And at the end of the pod, but it was still being recorded, the news came through that Inzaghi had been appointed, and they threw like a fit. I was like, fuck no, I don't want that guy because he's not a big name. But when I look at, number one, I look at the fact that he has won a Supercoppa, an Italian Super Cup against Juventus. That's a great accomplishment for Lazio. Like in the final, the Italian Super Cup, they won it quite comfortably. Then they won a Coppa Italia final against Atalanta. And we all know what type of team Atalanta is. They've been in the Champions League, I think, twice in the last 4 years. And the other 2 times, they didn't qualify at the last match day because Inter Milan managed to win at the last minute. Otherwise, they would have been there like 4 years out of the last 4. The other thing I think of is that Lazio play with Inter same system. So it's a 3-5-2, and Inzaghi has been playing with 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2. It's always the same thing. So I think he will. And another thing is that he was... above him at Lazio was one of the worst presidents in Italian football, Claudio Lotito. He never wants to spend money. He always wants to he's kind of stingy and everything. And Inzaghi has never said a word about it. And I think that what Inter Milan need at the moment, for the sake of the environment, of the stability and everything, is also a manager that understands the situation of the club, doesn't come out with something unexpected during the press conferences like Conte loved to do, something that brings stability. And they think that Inter's goal next year should be to be in the top 2/3. Try to win the league. It's going to be very difficult with Allegri back at Juventus, but it's going to be very, very difficult. But I think top 2 is what Inter should aim for. And this is an advice to anybody who is watching. Guys, try to learn Italian by the time September comes, because the press conferences in Italy are going to be fun. Allegri, Mourinho, a lot of big names back. So there are going to be quite a few hilarious press conferences, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Spalletti also at Napoli. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, Napoli as well. Yeah, they got.
And Sarri at Lazio. That's another one.
I know there's been some big names going through, some strange news as well. And yeah, I mean, do you think Inzaghi is going to be a successor in town? I mean, it's a massive club, massive change for some money.
I think he's going to do well. I think he's not going to massively disappoint. I think we are going to have, maybe we're not going to win the league, but we're going to be in the Champions League. I can almost put my, do you say in English to put your hand over the fire? To like bet on something like...
Okay. Yeah, to put your house on it. To put your house on it.
Yeah,
maybe.
I would.
Yeah.
Well, it's not my house, it's my mom's, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, even better.
I'll do it then.
Not a wise idea. And Rory, same view, Inter Milan, Simone Inzaghi, good appointment.
Yeah, well, we kind of talked about it on the pod. I think Inzaghi is a bit of an uninspiring choice, and I wasn't massively excited by it. But since kind of taking on the news, I think it's quite clever. I think he is one of the up and coming Italian managers, and I think of the managers that were available, he was one of the better options. I think he'll be able to solidify into Champions League qualification won't be a question mark; it'll just be a certainty. And I think if he does get the backing, and like Tommy said, he's been able to do it in Lazio under tight financial restrictions. If he can continue that part of his job well, I think then there's no reason why with that squad they can't still challenge for the title. But in Serie A, it always depends on how strong Juve are, really, because if it's a strong Juve, usually they win it. So yeah, I think it's a good appointment. I think in general it's a good appointment, but I think as Tommy said, there's a lot of top managers in Italy next year. Like Sarri at Lazio is going to be great to see. Like I'm really excited about that. Despite the fact I don't like Lazio that much, I want a club to give Sarri time. I think he was treated so badly at Chelsea, Juventus even worse. Like everywhere he's been, he's won something and he's done well, but he needs time to implement his system. So I think, I'm excited about him, but I think, Inzaghi will be exciting for Inter, I think. I just hope they retain the Scudetto because it was great to be in Milan when they won it. It was insane.
Yeah, that's going to be easier said than done now, ladies.
Definitely.
You got Roma under Jose. You've got Lazio under my guy Sarri. I'll tell you what, it's great to see Sarri back in Serie A. I mean, the way his chest at Chelsea and Juve was absolutely shoddy. It really, really, really is. You know what I mean? But I mean that lad, and I'll tell you what as well. That Igor Tari, the sports director of Lazio. I mean, he spent a lot of money on this Vicuri. Is it Vicuri from Fenerbahce? Vicuri, the big lad.
Oh, the striker from Kosovo.
He is awful.
Yeah, he's terrible. He's terrible.
I mean, they don't normally get the transfer market wrong, Lazio. They really don't. But they admitted got that one so wrong, and it won't be happening again. I'm telling you. Sarri, take one look at him, and I tell you what, he'd be gone. He'd be gone anyway. Don't worry about that. They paid a lot of money for this lad, and he has not impressed us at all whatsoever. I'm not going to lie. Not impressed us at all whatsoever. He's never going to fill the boots of Thuram Immobile. There's absolutely no chance of that. And yeah, I think he's going to change the system, Lazio. I think the football's going to be exciting. And I tell you what, I think Lazio will be very, very close. Whether we're going to win the league next season, I doubt it. But I think Sarri get them in the top four.
Yeah, I think there is a good chance that Sarri will bring to Lazio a few of his favorite players that he had back when he was at Napoli. Lazio fans were very quick to find a very old interview with Lorenzo Insigne when he was like 21 years old, I believe, where he said, of course, my dream is to play for Napoli, but another team that I have a lot of respect for is Lazio. So, you know, Lazio fans have been dreaming. Immobile and Insigne have played together during the Pescara days when they were promoted from Serie B. They won Serie B under Zdeněk Zeman. So, yeah, I think Serie A is going to be even more interesting than now. And another thing about Inzaghi that I liked, apparently the moment after he signed the contract, he called Romelu Lukaku, and Romelu Lukaku said that he really appreciated it, that he was one of the first people to get a phone call from him, and he convinced him to stay, that the project is going to be there. See, I think Inter, what Conte also did, he created really a group, a very united group of players fighting for the same cause. And I don't think Inzaghi is the guy who's going to come in and disrupt that in any way. I think he's pretty good at keeping things stable. So it should be a good season for Inter Milan again. Maybe not as exciting as the last one, but Serie A, I think, is going to be one of the most exciting national leagues in Europe next year.
Yeah, You know what it is? I love Serie A. For me, it's the best league in the world for me, and it's a family league as well. And I think Milan will kind of improve next season under Pioli. I think if you look at it, right, I mean, he's done a terrific job getting in the top four, and getting good to see Zlatan back in Serie A. And Mandzukic hasn't really done that much, has he? Let's be real about it. Rebic is a player I really love. Rebic, I think he's quality, him, man. And if you look at Donnarumma, I think he's on his way. How on earth did they allow Donnarumma's contract to land Dune?
Rory, I'll let you talk about it.
Honestly, I think
I'm going to do that question, mate.
No, I'm gonna say one name, and this is from an Arsenal fan, Ivan Gazidis, right? That guy has moved from Arsenal to Milan. Arsenal were horrifically run the whole time he was there. We're still run horrifically, but we were run even more horrifically when he was there. He's gone to Milan, and things like this happen to Arsenal all the time. We lost Ramsey on a free transfer. We lost, I think there's Ramsey and a few more. But anyway, with the Gazidis club, it doesn't surprise me. I think they've been it's just bad management. And obviously Donnarumma does have a bit of a reputation of trying to squeeze every penny he can out of that contract. But he's also potentially one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So why shouldn't he? So I think, it's just horrific management from them. And they're going to they already look pretty stupid. When he's going to sign for Juventus or PSG and win the big prizes with them, Milan are going to look even worse. And also, when you add on to that, they sold Locatelli for 12 million to Sassuolo, and now he's going to be sold for 70. I think, we can see how, in the background, how badly run that club is, which makes it even more impressive, the job that Pioli has done, I think, because there's been quite a lot of transfers that have come into Milan that haven't worked. But he's done really well to get them top four and have them challenging up until Christmas, right?
What I don't think was a great move from AC Milan, but here I know that the public opinion is split in two, is renewing Ibrahimovic's contract. I mean, the guy is 40 years old, and you're going to give him 7 million a season, I believe, something like that. And we saw at the end of the season that he was often injured. I mean, it's a huge risk that you're taking, and I know that it's something. I mean, I know that you're going to sell shirts with Ibrahimovic on the back. I know that you're going to sell more tickets with Ibrahimovic. But with a little bit of farsightedness, there are some very talented forwards that you could invest money on. Off the top of my head, Dusan Vlahovic from Fiorentina. Why don't you try and push for a youngster like that, even though Fiorentina, it's going to be very difficult to let him go. But spending 7 million on a 40-year-old Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I know he's done very well in the past year and a half at AC Milan, but still, it's kind of a weird decision, in my opinion. Then there is the school of thought that Zlatan will keep playing until he's 50 and is worth 7 million a year until he will be 50. If I have to think rationally as a sporting director, I don't think I would have renewed that contract. But I think that in front of my supporters, it would have been hard to explain it. If you don't renew Ibrahimovic's contract, then the next year you got to do very, very well and see that your plan was perfect.
Totally agree, man. I mean, you just touched on Vlahovic from Fiorentina as well. 22 goals in a poor side. And I tell you, not just a poor side, but a problem side. They are a problem side. They are going to be in huge trouble next season. I'm telling you. I'm not going to lie. They could get relegated because without him and Ribéry, right, they would have been relegated. I'm telling you, but Vlahovic will be an absolute cracking sign if Milan does get him, or anyone could just get him. It'd be fantastic. Very impressive with this guy. He's only, 19, 20. And he's got goals. But on Fiorentina, I mean, oh man, where do we start? Gattuso left after 23 years, and he want to go into that job. He wants to go in there, man. He's going to go into the job.
I think they're trying to make a push for Italiano, the manager at the Spezia. We've thoroughly covered his deeds at Spezia last year, newly relegated with Spezia. They had a very good first half of the season. Then they started kind of dropping in form towards the end. There was a big relegation scare, but then they managed to win the last few games, I believe, and they stayed up. Definitely one of the most impressive managers in Serie A last season, and I think he could do well at Fiorentina. I think the problem with Gattuso, what leaked, is that Gattuso's manager is Mendes, and Gattuso's agent is Mendes, and he was trying to impose on Fiorentina a bunch of very expensive players that he represents, and Fiorentina were just like, dude, no, like, we don't have that money. Like, our goal is not to be top 4 next year. Our goal is to just like be comfortably in the A side of the table. But I think that was the big issue there. But yeah, Fiorentina, just like Tottenham, they need a manager ASAP, because the Euros are going to be over in 3 weeks, and then it's already pre-season, and you gotta start working on game plans, players, selling, buying, and all that. So I think that time is running out for these clubs. And again, maybe Inzaghi is not the best appointment ever in the world, but I sleep better dreams knowing that we already have a manager and we're not like looking for one still.
Yeah, I mean, what's your make on it, Rory? I mean, Italiano, that's an interesting one. I mean, he's done well at Spezia and he kept them up. And do you think he could also leave Spezia and go to Fiorentina? Transfer in, by the way, great save.
Oh, I know, it looks like France are pushing. Yeah, I think Italiano would be a great move. Like, Spezia are a team we've covered quite a bit in our pod. And we were kind of rooting them for the whole time. Like, obviously, it's their first ever season in Serie A this year. And they up until right at the end of the season, they didn't really look like they were ever going to get relegated. And even at the end, there was quite a few teams below them. So I think obviously he's done a very, very good job. Something that we saw from him this season was that he was able to prepare his teams like specifically against other opposition. So Spezia were very good at taking on different challenges and adapting. And I think for a team like Fiorentina, that I agree with you, I think they could get relegated if they don't get this appointment right, because without Vlahovic and Ribery, they deserve to get relegated. I think they could do a lot worse than him, because they're going to be struggling again next year. So yeah, I think a manager that's impressed me and Tommy the whole season, I think it would be nice to see Fiorentina back where they're supposed to be. Like, I imagine you watched Serie A on Channel 4 in the 90s, right? When Fiorentina used to be good and part of the Seven Sisters.
With Nintendo.
With Nintendo, exactly, and Batistuta. And it would be great to see Fiorentina back where they belong, but they're a long way from that at the moment. A long way.
And they're a huge club as well. A huge club. I've been to Fiorentina. The fans are absolutely fantastic there. And I spoke to a couple of them as well, and they care about that football club, but they're acting out in a minute. It's just a disgrace, because that club should never, ever, ever, and I mean ever, be struggling in Serie A. Never in a minute. Yeah, but it is what it is, and they make a match very quickly, or they could be done, and they need to fix up very quickly. What about our friends there? Your mate, Jose, to Roma, 3-year contract. Wow. What can I say about that?
Look, I don't know. I mean, a lot of Inter supporters like myself, they feel like betrayed. For me, I mean, if he had gone to AC Milan or Juventus, that would be betrayal. Roma used to be, when Mourinho was at Inter Milan, used to be one of Inter's main contenders. Right now, I think they're still our rivals, but there is no direct rivalry, so I don't feel betrayed at all. I just think that it's just kind of a weird appointment from Roma, especially after seeing the experience at Tottenham. It shouldn't have. It's not. Mourinho is not supposed to have the same flair to his name that he used to have back in the day. But when he was announced as Roma manager, Romans went insane. They seem to be really happy about it. Let's see what happens in the transfer windows, because we know that Mourinho can massively, excuse my French, fuck up a transfer window if he's given managerial powers. So I think that Roma's management need to work very closely to him and not let him take the lead in the decisions that are made on players to be sold and players to buy. Because Mourinho, he doesn't have idea of what a budget is, and many times he just like massively fucks it. Xhaka for 50 million from Arsenal.
Take him. I'll carry him myself. I'll carry him there myself. I swear to God. I'll bite your hand off.
Christmas, give him a Christmas present.
Yeah.
Christmas present. Christmas comes early. Right? Just tack him away. Down to Rome. Nah,
Yeah,
right.
I'd be really happy with that. But I think you're right, Tommy. I think Mourinho. Look, we've seen how badly it went at Tottenham, and even you could argue how badly it ended at Manchester United, how badly it ended at Real Madrid. Like, this has been a trend that's been happening for a while, and I can see why Roma are like, they'll take a risk on someone like him and be like, maybe this time he gets it right, because he has still won everything, right? But I just get the feeling like there was a lot of people on Twitter that were saying he swapped the English Roma for the Italian Spurs. Like, they're two clubs that are very similar, that have kind of both not really won much, both promise quite a lot but never really get there. And I think it is a bit of a sideways move. Look, as Tommy knows, Roma are the team that I first liked in Italy. So I would quite like to see them be successful again. I would quite like to see them be successful, but I don't know if Mourinho is going to be a great fit. I just get the feeling that it's going to be another 2 years and there'll just be a fire as he walks away. Like, it just seems to be how it goes now with him.
You know what I think is a bit Roma's plan? So this very famous figure in Italy was appointed as their director of communications. His name is Maurizio Costanzo. He's very unattractive, old, fat man, but he's got a long experience as a journalist in Italian television. And he also has a lisp. He's a very strange dude. He's like this fat. he like mumbles too. I don't look. When they told me he was a journalist, I was like, wow, that's incredible. But he's got a long experience in Italian television, Italian newspapers, and you're putting him as director of your communication, Mourinho as your manager. I think that Roma's priority right now, since they're seeing the trend of Inter Milan changing the logo, becoming, instead of Internazionale, Inter Milan, Juventus, they are in the stock market and everything. I feel like Roma, they want to kind of follow that trend because they know that that's what's needed right now in football to survive. So they want results, but at the same time, they want to create a solid brand that can attract people to the stadium, sell merchandising, sell shirts. So I think that that is also part of the reason behind Mourinho's appointment, because Mourinho, we saw it when he was at Inter Milan, I think more than in any other club where he has been, maybe only at Chelsea. He, like, the movement that he creates around him for every press conference, every game, it's insane. It's like a circus that moves from town to town to town, and the media is behind him all the time. So I think that that's part of the reason why Mourinho was appointed as well.
And the stock is still quite high in Italy, what he's done in Italy all those years ago, by the way. And a lot of people haven't even realised that his stock is still very, very high. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, sort of thing. So whoever he brings in summer, I think he'll do a good job. But I wonder how he's going to get on with Mkhitaryan as well, because he did not like Mkhitaryan at United. Let's be real. Mkhitaryan has done really well last season. He's got 13 goals last season. He's been brilliant. He's been absolutely brilliant. And will he keep De Zeko up front? Will he keep Mayoral as well? He's got 1 more year left on this 2-year loan deal as well. Will he keep him? I think he will stay. I think, look at the back four. I mean, look, it's kind of strong. Will he keep Chris Smalling or Smaldini? He had but they got some good players there, Roma. Spinazzola as well. Excuse me. I think if Rossi gets it right, gets it back in, I think they come close. But I'm looking forward for the Serie A. So excited. I think it's going to be very close than a lot of people make out to be, sort of thing, like, you know. But and what about, we haven't talked about Atalanta yet, haven't we? Again, Gasperini. Again, he's done it. Really done it, Tommy. I mean, I think they're going to win the league before long. Can they win it within 3 years under Gasperini? Can they actually win the big one?
I think we were saying it in the pod. I think that Atalanta have been incredible at managing a very low budget and accomplishing what they did. I think that right now it's time to go on the market, sign a big name, made maybe an important sale and buy a big name. Now, I wouldn't know what name it is, but I think that if Atalanta want to make a statement in Serie A next year, instead of always being like third or fourth, they need to go on the market and finally spend some money, because it will be a very smart investment. The money is going to come back. They are I think one of the fastest growing clubs in Italy in the past decade. So I think this is the time to spend. If they don't, they might as well just always be that kind of like Roma Lazio type of team that always like moves from fourth to fifth to third, and that. By the way, I just want to say something about. No, I'll say it later about France. No, about Atalanta. One thing that is incredible about Atalanta is that they have very, very few Italian players. Now, if we look at the Italian national team, I think that the only two, I'm actually checking right now, they are Pessina and Toloi. They are the only two Atalanta players. For the rest, they are all kids, very young kids, especially from abroad, which means that Atalanta's scouting system is absolutely top notch, because we saw, did you guys see that Miranchuk goal for Russia the other day?
What a finish. What a finish.
I personally, I never played Football Manager or anything, but Miranchuk was a name that I absolutely ignored until last season when I went to Atalanta. Then they got Lammers from somewhere in Belgium. Yeah, he was a great signing. We saw Mele. He's Denmark's starting left back, and he's a very decent player. So I think Atalanta have got some very good aces up in their sleeves. One of them is the scouting, but I think that right now it's time to go in the market. I don't know what Rory thinks, but this is my opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree. They need to replace Papa Gomez as well, and he has been a massive miss for that team.
Yeah.
He's gone to steal, and what he has done for that club is absolutely incredible for that club. And I love his scores, his movement, his passing ability, and what happened between him and Gasp, it just didn't look good, didn't it? That's why they just got rid of him and gone for a contract with Sevilla sort of thing. And Rory, do you agree with what Tommy said about Atalanta? They need to make a statement signing in the summer, just the one.
Yeah, I think they do. They're kind of caught. They're in a fork in the road, right? And they need to make a decision, because the reason why the club has been so successful is because of the system that they've managed to build, which is scouting players, bringing them in, selling them on for more money, and that's how they've got this success. Now, if they roll the dice on one or two big names, you never know how transfers are going to go, and it could be when we see the likes of like what happened at. And this is like a very pessimistic view of it, but what happened to clubs like Leeds? What happened to clubs like, Leeds are the one that's sticking in my mind, to be honest, where they kind of rolled the Champions League dice, failed, and then they ended up falling down quite quickly. So I think for Atalanta, they're at a fork in the road, which is a big decision. I think what they will do is they'll stick to what they're doing, and they'll just be like, look, it's not broken. Don't fix it. We can just keep bringing in these players, and maybe at one point we'll get a squad like Ajax when they went to the Champions League semi-final. Maybe they'll just get that squad that is good enough to win the league, and maybe it'll happen. I don't think they'll take that risk, because they've been in the Champions League for 4 years now. Is it 4 years, 5 years?
3 years.
Yeah. 3 years. And I think other chairmen would have been tempted by now and taken that risk, but I just don't think Atalanta will do it. But I think, look, if you like Serie A, then you love Atalanta. Like, they're the best team to watch in the league. They've always, like, you think of any good young player in the Premier League now, the chances are they've come from Atalanta. Like, Leicester love buying their players, right? And I think they really are the kind of the model club to follow in Italy at the moment of how well they're run. And maybe even in Europe, they're up there as one of the better run clubs, definitely.
Totally agree with you. They're getting a new couple of stands as well, 20,000 capacity at that stadium. And I tell you what, you got Zapata as well. He's been absolutely outstanding. I love the guy. And not only that, they got a good back four, back three. Toloi, either the pack for me. And they've got some cracking players. And you got Rushan as well, Ukrainian lad. I absolutely love
Gozens
has been good as well. Yeah.
Germany's starting left back in this tournament.
Yeah.
By the way,
Gozens.
I wanted to say one thing since we were talking about Mourinho. One of my favorite quotes by Mourinho when he was coaching Inter Milan, it was, I don't remember the context, but he said, I like when other managers speak about my team because that's the sound of the enemy. And if the enemy is being loud, it means that the enemy is afraid. Now, I was thinking about it because I've heard quotes from, who was it, Rory, that talked about Italy? Neville.
Oh, Gary Neville.
Yeah. Okay, so Gary Neville and Patrick Vieira. I hope the game with France is over now.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, basically. So I have not heard a single former Italian player say a word about other teams at the Euros. Well, maybe in general, like, yeah, I think they're a pretty good team. Yeah, I don't think, but not such bold statements like Neville saying, yeah, once they meet a proper opposition, they won't have it in them. Or Patrick Vieira saying that we've just played like weak oppositions, and that's normal that we've performed so well. Well, guess what, Patrick? Hungary, France, 1-1. What do you think of that opposition? Because that opposition is not that impressive. So 6 goals in 2 games, 0 conceded. France didn't even manage to win 2 games. So I'm feeling pretty confident about the Azzurri this summer.
I tell you what, though, I think Italy's going all the way. I think Italy win a lot. I mean, everyone keeps saying France, but I think Italy win a lot this season. I'm going to make a decision. They're going to do the lot. They're going to win the thing. And let's hope that they do it and then make sure it's about time.
Touch wood.
Where is it?
That time, you know. Touch wood. First, obviously, but other than that, Italy all the way for me. But you know what it is, right? I mean, you know, like we spoke about Atlanta, we spoke about Roma. I want to talk about the 3 promoted teams: Empoli, Salernitana, and Valencia. Right, great to see those teams come back up again. It really is. Empoli, you know all about Empoli. They keep coming up and down all the time. Salernitana, they got wonderful fans, and southern Italy at Aterci, absolutely brilliant. They got all seater stadium now from 36,000 down to 26, all seated. And Valencia, I mean, they play some cracking stuff in Serie B and well deserved for me. How do those 3 teams are going to do? How do you think they're fair?
We've got a friend who's kind of become a regular on the pod, and he's our friend Luca. He's very knowledgeable about Serie B. He's saying that he thinks, I believe he said that he thinks Empoli is going to stay up because they are a club that is very used to being in Serie A. But let's not forget that Venezia and Salernitana also, as you were saying, they've got an incredible fan base, incredible history. And you see, like, I would be worried just if I was a Fiorentina fan. But there are a lot of teams in Serie A that have been flirting with the drop zone for the past few years. And I think that these 3 teams, Empoli, Salernitana, and Venezia, they're going to make it hard for Serie A teams who've been flirting with the relegation. So it's going to be another reason to watch Serie A. Also, Rory and I are very excited to maybe catch the Salernitana-Napoli derby and the Verona-Venezia derbies. Those should be fun to witness in person.
Sorry.
No, carry on, go for it.
Hopefully it would be great to go and watch a game in Venezia. I think it's a very unique place to watch football. Salernitana is an interesting one because obviously they're owned by Lazio's owner, and I believe he still owns them. So now there's a clash of interest. He has a certain deadline by which he needs to sell one of the clubs. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how Salernitana deal, or how Latito deals with that, because I'm not sure how you get around it. But I think all 3 teams could have a chance of staying up. Like Tommy said, there's a few teams in Serie A that have been lucky to be there so long. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Empoli are particularly exciting because, as always, they've got quite a few exciting young players. So it'll be good to see 3 decent teams, as you said, with good support bases coming into the league. Like that Napoli-Salernitana game is going to be, hopefully it's full crowds. Hopefully it's full stadiums again, because that will be incredible.
It'd be a hell of a game. That'll be a hell of a game. I don't think Napoli be too strong for them, but that will be a hell of a game. And touch on Napoli as well, quickly. Spalletti's back, isn't he? I mean, they're gone. He will not play open free attacking football at Napoli. He's not that sort of manager. He's not. And Tommy, you must know, because he managed Inter Milan, did he? Do you know what I mean? And, oh, man, where do I start with him? Where do I start with this guy? I mean, him going to Napoli, not a Napoli fan. I'll be speechless.
I think. Look, I don't know. I was listening to the great Golazzo podcast with James Horncastle, Gab Marcotti, and James Richardson. There is an episode about Spalletti that was released a few months back, and I don't know, man. It might be his Tuscan accent, like the fact that he's just like, I don't know. He's a very most of the times he's a quite poised man, but then even when he gets angry, he doesn't like shout or lose his cool. He like points at the camera like that. I don't know. I like Spalletti. Spalletti is a name that I have a lot of respect for. I will never forget that he's the manager that brought Inter back to the Champions League after we had been missing out for like 6 or 7 years. Yeah. His way of playing football, it was genius when he was at Roma, as they said in Golazzo, when he created basically the false nine. And even Pep Guardiola said that he took inspiration from Totti's position in the pitch to tailor that role to Lionel Messi at Barcelona. But let's say that ever since the St. Petersburg job, I want to say he has never done anything absolutely incredible. And overall, he brought us back to Champions League football. I mean, Inter Milan, but he was playing very fucking boring football. So let's see what they do, because Napoli, I think Napoli have been spoiled a lot under Sarri, especially then Gattuso. He managed to have a very solid squad, and they played pretty good football, especially towards the end of the season. They are very demanding, Napoli fans, but I think that Spalletti will do all right. I don't think it's going to be, and I don't think that Napoli fans are that disappointed in the appointment, but I should do maybe more research about that. It's interesting. Napoli, but this is not Napoli is kind of its own. It's kind of a city on its own. They listen to music that has a market only in Napoli. They have opinions about people that they only have in Napoli. So it's very. I would have to have friends in Napoli to really know what's the gut feeling about the Spalletti appointment.
Well, I think we'll watch out of interest sort of thing, and I'm sure that Spalletti will get time, and I think Napoli fans give him a chance. And Rory, same with what Tommy said about Spalletti.
Yeah, well, me and Tommy have not fallen out. We've had heated discussions about Spalletti a few times, because I had to watch Spalletti's Inter, and I found them incredibly dull, and I found it really uninspiring, and I found it just. Obviously I was enjoying going to the San Siro because it's the San Siro, but I wasn't enjoying the football. And I was a bit like, this is just, if your only aim is to get top 4, then cool. Take this guy, he will get you top 4, but nothing else. Like, even I think Inter might have pushed close 1 year, but then it kind of faded away fairly quickly. I think he's unable to take that next step that can just push you that bit further. And even at Inter, he had a fairly good squad. Like, he had Icardi up front scoring lots of goals, and they still just couldn't quite get there. So I think, look, for Napoli, yeah, they are a fan base that I think appreciate the aesthetics of football. But I think the board have obviously just gone, look, we just need a manager that's going to get us regular Champions League football. Obviously, they've been in the Europa League a few times. So I think if Napoli can get to that point where they're a staple, then they can try and get a manager that can do it in a pretty way, right? I think that's the way that they're thinking.
Yeah, that's fair enough. If that's the case, then he's going to be your man. I think you get Napoli in the top 4 next season. If that is the case, just get in the top 4 and just see what happens after that. Yeah. And that'd be fun. But going back quickly about those 3 teams I mentioned, Empoli, Tanfen, Serie sort of thing. You think those 3 are going to stay up this season?
I think the one that might struggle the most is probably Salernitana might struggle the most. I think their squad needs quite a lot of work, and especially with this Lotito thing, however that's going to end, like, we don't know what's going to happen there. So I think even if they do get a new investor, will they be able to give the squad the investment it needs? Like, I think they might. Look, the fans will enjoy being in Serie A for a season. I think they'll definitely enjoy it, but I would be surprised if they stay up. I think Empoli might have enough. Venezia, they're a very well-run club. So I think, and their squad, I've watched a fair bit of them in Serie B this year. I think they could have enough about them to stay up. It's Salernitana that I worry for the most, I think.
Yeah, I like that 40 up front for Venezia. I think he's a hard-working striker. I do like him. He's a typical British striker. His movements. Yeah. I think he's a bit like Giroud in a weird sort of thing. Like his movement, hold the ball up and brings people in play. How are they getting a new stadium, though? I mean, apparently they've been talking about getting a new stadium for months. For years.
Well, I think every club in Italy has been talking about getting a new stadium for years because Roma have been talking about it for decades. So I don't know. It would be a shame for Venezia because I think their stadium, it's on an island and it's in Venice, right? It's not miles away. It's in the city. So I think it would be a shame, but obviously it is quite a small stadium. I think it only holds like 15 off the top of my head, maybe 20. So I think there's definitely a project going on at that club. There's a project there that they're trying to establish it as a Serie A team. And I think they've been in the playoffs in Serie B for a few years consistently. So I think they've finally got there. And this is kind of the start of the project now. Right, we're in Serie A, now we can put the investment in. Now we can try and become a regular here because I think there would be plenty of people that would love to come to Venice to watch a football game, right? They could be such a iconic, glamorous club if they were in Serie A for a long time.
And the other thing I think, I was actually doing research on another page. I wasn't looking at you guys, but I was listening. The other thing is that Venezia have got the ownership too. I think they've got out of these three teams, Salernitana, Venezia, and Empoli, they are the ones with the most money. So I think they are the ones that potentially could do the best in the transfer market. And in today's football, unfortunately, that's something that needs to be weighed in.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is the thing. I've got Andy Ruda as well, who constantly chatting on a regular basis. He's only 13. He's a great lad, and he's so knowledgeable about Championship football. So if you know about Championship football, he is your guy. And he is in Valencia with the mighty Nicky Mempa.
They've got a few very good players in that team. Like I said, they've been it's been a project that's been building for a while, and I think we're starting to see the fruits of it. They had the striker on loan from Inter last year. His name escapes me. What's his name? Esposito. They had him on loan. Esposito, who was very good for them. They've got a very well constructed squad with some bright players in there. I think. I'm excited to see them, and not just because their kits are usually absolutely beautiful, but I am excited to watch them.
And he's also saying that because he used to play for Bristol.
There we go.
But you know what it is, right? If, like I said, Valencia stay in Serie A for a long, long time and they're getting quite a new stadium, sort of thing, then believe you and me, I think, like you just said, it'd be nice to come watch Valencia, sort of thing, because they got a lot of British fans watch Valencia anyway. A lot of British fans go there as well, apparently. And it's a cracking place to play with football. It really, really is. And it'd be nice to see Valencia finishing mid-table because what I can see, is people at Zaghi is set the ball rolling, got them up from Serie A D to Serie A C into Serie A B, got them into the playoffs, then he went off to Bologna, and then after that, they just kept on, didn't they? This
is it. It's been like a slow progress, but they've finally got there, and I think now we're going to see the investment and the right switch on. This is when we get serious because we're not going back down there. I think, they're a very well-run club, and I'm excited for them. Their fans must be what an achievement! What an achievement!
Brilliant. Well done, Valencia, and well done for Is it Bonotti, their coach?
I believe so.
Who is the coach of who?
Their coach, Valencia coach. Bonotti.
It's Paolo Zanetti.
Paolo
Zanetti. Yeah.
He's only 30 years.
Yeah, and I was reading this comment by Robin Stock. A year from Brescia, I remember him in Serie A 2 years ago. He scored quite a few goals, and I think he did really, really well in Serie B last year. I'm just checking his age. He was born in 1997, so that makes him 24 years old. I think it could be, with Guardiola, we've seen, if he goes to City, we've seen how patient Guardiola can be in implementing new players. So I think it could be, if City are behind him, there must be a reason, and Guardiola is probably has a plan for him. But guys, I have to ask a question to you two. What the fuck was that last night, England-Scotland?
Oh God, we've been trying to avoid it. Can you not tell, Tommy? We don't want to talk about it.
Absolutely. I could talk about it, Andy, and I'm just going to rip it apart anyway. I'll rip him apart, Southgate. I really would. If I was going to say something about Southgate, it would not be nice what I would say to this guy, honestly. I've got to turn around the video again. It's very interesting. What are your thoughts on A for Brescia? He joined for 2 seasons now. He's been linked to Bristol City. he holds the ball up well, doesn't he? He holds the ball up well, and he's quite quick, and does score a lot of goals, by the way. I'm not going to lie, but what do you think of this guy?
Sorry, I was thinking that he meant the city, as in Manchester City. That's why I was talking. But now I see that it says not Manchester City, Bristol City, Tommy. Look, I just remember him 2 years ago in Serie A, and he scored, I think, 7 or 8 goals. And last season in Serie B, I think he went double digits, and he was one of the best players in the league. So, look, I think he knows how to play football. I kind of want to see his history, where he's played before Brescia. He was in France. Yeah, and it would be a young player with quite a bit of experience in the French second division, France, and then Italy first and second division. So maybe it could be a good purchase for your team. Robin stock.
Well, I think, yeah, and I think Serie B doesn't get enough respect. Really, it is a very competitive league. It's very physical, so I think making that move from Serie B to Championship would be it wouldn't be the biggest culture shock. So I would be relatively excited about that signing. I think Brescia even when they were in Serie A, obviously they got relegated, but they had quite a lot of exciting players in that team, like Tonali and a lot of others. So I think, yeah, I'd be relatively excited about that.
Donnarumma as well.
Sorry.
Donnarumma played for them as well, and he's still there. Donnarumma used to play for Empoli as well, and he moved on to Brescia when Empoli got
yeah. No, exactly. They've got quite a good squad, so I think I'd be relatively excited about signing him. I think there's like I said, I watched quite a bit of Serie B last year, and there's a few players I think should be kind of plucked out if the scouts are doing a good job. Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree. And guess who's managing Brescia now? People Zaghi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he's Brescia's new manager.
He left Benevento, didn't he? He got relegated, and he's a couple weeks later. He's gone to Brescia. He was appointed last week.
Oh wow! I missed out on that.
I missed that completely. That's great for Brescia because he actually did. He got Benevento promoted, right? So I think he's someone who obviously knows Serie B quite well. And Brescia will be looking to come out quite quickly because if they stay down there too long, they could be down there a while, if you know what I mean. I think they were hoping for a straight bounce back and it just never really happened, which is a shame because I like Brescia as a club. Again, love the kits, and that's like 90% of my decision with teams is how nice the kits are, I'll be honest.
Surely, oh, cool. I like the kits as well. And they also got Massimo Cellino as well. And I tell you what, my advice to Cellino as well, give Inzaghi time. Just let him get on with his job, his project sort of thing, and get you up sort of thing. Doesn't get you up, give him another year. You know what I mean? Do not keep changing your manager sort of thing. Because I'll tell you something, Inzaghi will get Brescia up if he's allowed to give him time. And that's the problem. They had loads of managers under his leadership. Carini just should have kept on. They should have kept Carini. And he was at Lecce. They got sacked, did he? Because he didn't get Lecce up, didn't he? He signed a 4-year deal with Lecce. A 4-year deal. I could be wrong. 4 years. Because they got beat up Finense in the playoffs. A couple weeks later, they sacked him. I can't believe that. I couldn't understand that.
Well, there's quite a few chairmen in Italy that like to pull the trigger quite quickly on managers. They don't really managers do get sacked quite quickly and then they'll get re-employed again in 2 years' time. Like it is, especially when you get down into like the lower leagues of Italy, it happens quite a lot. And if it's Cellino, then that guy is absolutely insane. So, I wouldn't be surprised at anything he does.
I know. Yeah. And the guarantees of Zanetti, by the way, from Valencia, and he is a young coach, and they got not Man City, Bristol City, Tommy.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine Foy and I went to Man City from Brescia? Can you imagine that?
The scouting might be on point. Who knows?
That would be like Verratti from Pescara in Serie B all the way to PSG in Liga. It would be something similar.
Exactly. I mean, you got. I'll tell you what, though, lads. I'll tell you something. I mean, that Serie B is going to be very, very close. Going to talk about the teams that went doing Crotone, Parma, and Benevento. I mean, you look at Parma. They exceeded 70-odd goals last season. Crotone 92 goals, and you got Benevento. It just went down because it just wasn't good enough on the day. But go on to Simi played Crotone. My God, 20 goals. Has he gone to Monza now? Because Monza are linked to him.
I think I might have missed out on a lot of things. I was kind of busy with family time recently. Simi. No, I mean he's still at Crotone. officially, but yeah, it says there is an interesting from Betis Sevilla, but I think a lot of clubs are behind him. I wouldn't mind him at Inter Milan as a backup striker for Lukaku. Yeah, that would be a great signing, I think. But also a very interesting thing that I was discussing with Rory yesterday is that Buffon is now officially back to Parma, but the Parma supporters are not very happy about that because that's the club where he debuted in Serie A, and he promised he would never wear a Juventus shirt. Then he left for Juventus, but he didn't sign for them when he was in Italy. He was on holiday in Australia and he signed a deal with Juventus, left Parma without even saying goodbye to the fans, and now they made a banner for him outside the stadium that said, "You are pretending to come back as a hero. You are not one. We are the only club that made you win in Europe." Quite interestingly, he won a UEFA Cup with Parma, but never won a Champions League with Juventus. That needs to be remembered. And so I think they were just shut up and honor the shirt. Like, we don't want to hear anything about like how happy you are to be back. Just come play football, make us come back to Serie A again, and then you can be out, and that's it.
And then we talk about it as well. Talk about, you know what I mean? But 2-year deal for Buffon, I believe, and they concede a lot of goals. They need to fix up as well, sort of thing. They need to fix up because I think Parma are quick to get back promoted. Cortone, I'm not so sure, but Benevento, again, they probably get playoffs as well, I think. But the team's got to watch out for as well. I think it's Brescia. I think no one's going to come up. I think Lecce will fix up. I think you got teams that come up Serie like Ternana, Perugia, Como, and Alessandria got promoted. They beat Padova in the playoffs, I believe. So I'm not bad at Italian football, am I?
No, that's it. Yeah, I mean, mate, I'm impressed. The one to keep an eye out on is Como, because they've been bought by, I believe it's a British company. They've been bought by British owners, and there is a big project going on at Como. So I would keep your eye on them over the next couple of years. Obviously, I think back to back would be a bit much, but I think over the next 3-4 seasons, we're going to see them start emerging and start pushing for Serie A. But yeah, of the teams that got promoted, I think Benevento are the one I was least impressed with. I think that I just thought they were really average. I thought Crotone, they scored lots of goals, but unfortunately conceded more. So I think with a better defense, they really could have stayed up. And towards the end of the season, they took a few big scalps. And Parma, they've got some really good young players in that team. Again, they just need to fix that defense, but I think Parma could be back up. Hopefully, I like Parma.
I do as well. I want to go to Parma next season when it's allowed for us to fly out. So I'm going to talk about the situation in Italy in a minute and about the travel and stuff as well. And I like Parma. If you love the ice creams in Parma, you want to put on 5 kilos on weight. Gelati.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just do it, man. Do it. And, but great to see Parma get back up. I really hope they do get back up. And it's good to see Alessandria as well got promoted in Serie B. 46 years of waiting as well. 46 long years that was to wait. And, Leila got some questions for us. As a Serie A fan, he's a regular on before. What are your thoughts on Rodrigo De Paul? He's off to Atletico Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
He's off to Atletico Madrid for real?
Well, yeah, they've been heavily linked with him. Well, Tommy, I know he's a player that you like, right? You've got a lot of time for De Paul.
Yeah, I mean, De Paul, I think, is just a brilliant player because he can play a lot of different positions. And now that I heard for the first time that he's linked with Atletico Madrid, it makes a whole lot of sense. I think he's a player that can be dropped back slightly to midfield, but he can also play as a wing. He can also play as a forward. He's very versatile. He's got an incredible vision, beautiful pinpoint passes. He scores multiple goals every season. He's got free kicks in his bag as well. He scores penalties. He's got it all. I'm very surprised that he wasn't snatched from Udinese in the past 3 seasons because he was heavily linked first to Juventus, then to AC Milan, then to Roma, then to Inter Milan, but he never left. I think for contractual reasons. But yeah, it's one of those names has been up there for quite some time. What would you say, Rory?
Yeah, he was by far Udinese's best player, like the whole time he was there. And I think there was lots of clubs looking at him. I think Liverpool were linked with him. As you said, all of the bigger teams in Italy have been linked to him. I think it would be a great signing for whoever gets him. He is going to be like, it's going to be one of those players that in 2-3 seasons, it'll look like a bargain. They'll be like, I can't, how did they get him for that cheap? Like, he is a very, very good player. Very good player.
He is absolutely amazing. Very impressive, this guy. But if Newcastle United get a takeover, yeah, I'll be shit that midfield. I tell you what, I tell you, Udinese, to name your price on this guy. I tell you what, I won't pay you £36 million. I won't pay you €40 million. I'll pay you €60 million, £52 million. That's no problems at all. I'll pay that right away for Newcastle takeover. No problems at all. And also, I'm a fan of this guy as well. What's your thoughts on calories? Nathan Hernandez. I mean, I like him. I do like him.
Nathan Hernandez is one of the most outstanding midfielders playing in Serie A over the past few seasons. And again, it just goes to show how incredible of a country Uruguay is. Such a tiny country with so much footballing talent, and he's one of their starters at midfield. And again, a player that you can play in a lot of different positions. I think at Cagliari he was used as a not really as a wing, but as not a center mid. How would you call it, right? Outside of the midfield. Yeah, outside of the midfield. But he's also got an incredible dribbling quality, incredible ability to keep the ball. And I think it was one of the most outstanding midfielders in Serie A these past few seasons.
I think he's absolutely a cracking player. He's one of the best players, I think, at Gallery as well. And they'll do very well to hold on to him next season. I really do. And Rory, your take on him as well?
Well, I had him in fantasy last season and he was fantastic for me. So that's my kind of view on Hernandez. I think Cagliari have got a very good squad and they should have done a lot better than they did this season. They've got a lot of good players in that team. And I think he's definitely one of the standout players. So, yeah, again, I think with Cagliari underperforming, maybe he's a player that could again be kind of poached and would be a good signing for plenty of teams. Again, a player I would quite happily take at Arsenal, but there's quite a few of them as well, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Newcastle United as well, no problems at all, sort of thing. Again, we'll take over. I'd take him as well, no problems at all. And then I'm going to get people that are going to ask him, is he any good? Is he any good? Is he any good? I say he's an absolute decent player. I have to agree with what we said about Nathan as well. Great player. But Semplici's kept them up. Ex-Spal manager, he kept them up as well, by the way. So well done to Cagliari. Well done to Leandro Semplici as well. And I've got I read as well. Are you surprised that Spencer stayed up? For me, not at all. Not at all. I thought they started really well. I thought they held it on. I thought they'd been winning games where it really, really mattered. Your home games are going to keep you up. They did exactly that. They beat some very good teams. They beat Torino by 4-1. And, you know, they took some big teams all the way. And, yeah, very impressive, Spencer, on Italiano. I thought he's done decent. But just quick before you say anything, when he was in Serie B, right, I think he could have got sacked after 4 games because they didn't look that well at all. So, and he did well to pick up.
Yeah, well, definitely, yeah. They had a really bad start to the season and they were like really good finishers, and that's how they got that's how they got promotion. But yeah, like I said, me and Tommy talked about them a lot at the beginning of the season and across the season. Really, on our pod, we talked about them and just saying how good a job they're doing. I was really happy to see them stay up. Hopefully, they can be the next Sassuolo and become like, you know, the team that gets promoted, that cements themselves in the league. Like, I think that would be really good for them. Again, they can't play in their own stadium, so I think it's very impressive that they've managed to stay up. But am I surprised? No, not really.
No, not at all. I think they've done really, really well. And you touched on Sassuolo as well. I mean, they got a new manager now, haven't they? Because De Serbi is left to go on to Shakhtar Donetsk. And it's a shame because he has been absolutely fantastic for Sassuolo, playing football the right way. Exciting football. I guess they're actually asked to score lots and lots of goals, but also conceding lots as well. Last season, they didn't concede that many, but I think it's been fantastic. And who's taken over now at Sassuolo? Is it Empoli manager?
I believe they did take the Empoli manager, yeah. And obviously, fresh off the back of promotion, then he was a kind of hot property. And look, Sassuolo are a really well-run club, as we've said. Like, not many teams come into Serie A and manage to stay there. Like a lot kind of yo-yo. And for them to not only stay in Serie A, but then now be pushing into the European places, and kind of they're always around the Europa League, that new Europa Conference thing. They're always around that kind of area. So I think they've done very well. And for he must be a highly rated manager. Hopefully he can take off where De Zerbi kind of left, I suppose.
Absolutely. And Dionisi is their new coach now. For Alessio Dionisi got Empoli up. He's their new coach. And I think he'd do really well. I think he's going to do fantastic. He's done well at Empoli, got them up playing fantastic football. If he can bring that into Sassuolo in slightly his own way, I think he'd be absolutely brilliant. He won't change much. Plays the same formation, 4-2-3-1. I spoke to Jake, Calcio supporter. He is absolutely fantastic. And I could listen to him all day long, and he's been brilliant. And he's a big Empoli fan as well. So he must be gutted that they lost him to Sassuolo. And I got Lil as well. What are your thoughts on Isaac? Now, he doesn't play in Serie A. He plays for Swedish International.
Now, let me surprise you. This is another player I would also take at Arsenal. Having watched him against, I watched him in the first game. Who was it against? Against Spain. And he had to do it all on his own. He had to do everything on his own. But it's kind of a cliche, but he's got very big feet. He's got very good feet for a big lad, right? There was one point where he managed to spin around about 4 or 5 of the Spanish defenders and make them look pretty stupid. I've been really excited by this guy. He's only 19, I want to say, maybe even younger. I think what a prospect and what a striker he's going to be. I think he's definitely going to move this summer for quite a lot of money. Hopefully, as I said, hopefully it'll be Arsenal, but I get the feeling he's going to end up at one of the big Spanish teams. I think kind of Barca or Real are going to take a punt on him because after this tournament, his stock has gone up through the roof.
22 years old, by the way.
22, yeah. Fair play.
Yeah. I tell you what, Sergio's dad has got a big release clause. These Spanish players have got big release clauses.
Yeah, they're not stupid. They're not stupid. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Not stupid. And also, what are your thoughts on Patson Daka to Leicester? I'm going to go with that one. Tommy, Patson Daka.
I don't know who Patson Daka is.
So I'm going to jump on this one. A lot of my knowledge comes from Football Manager, guys. A lot of my knowledge comes from Football Manager. And Patson Daka, John, you'll be pleased to hear, he won the Premier League for me with Newcastle. He got 35 goals in one season. So if you take Football Manager as your reference for reality, which I do, he's a very, very good striker. I think they've done, look, Leicester always get their transfers right. We've seen it. Like they sell players and manage to bring in a better player for cheaper, like almost like Atalanta, right? They're very kind of similar clubs. And I think he's going to be a great signing for them. Zambian, really young, highly rated striker. I think it'll be a great signing. And it probably means that Maddison's coming to Arsenal. So sweet.
Yeah, Maddison to Arsenal. When he behaves, he's kind of clever, but when he behaves himself and stop out late. And
this is it, yeah.
It'll be fine. I'll show Teta will sort and I'll come to him in a bit. And I got Lille as well. It's weird, Brentford haven't been linked with a single player since they were promoted 3 weeks ago. It's too early, but I'll show Brentford.
With the Euros, there's no transfer talk, not really. Everyone's just holding on until it finishes, aren't they? And also, Brentford, nobody can predict their transfer business. They do that money ball thing where they look just at statistics. They'll sign some players you've never heard of and they'll be great. Like, if you're a Brentford fan, don't worry about it.
Brentford will be fine this season. I think you just touched on the fees got promoted in Serie A. The teams who's going to be worried, who's been struggling, they could be in relegation trouble. You got Norwich, you got Brentford, you got Watford coming up. I think they're all going to be fine. If they're all going to be fine, it does look good for Newcastle United. If a takeover does not happen, I can see this being in huge trouble this season. This time, let's be real about it.
I could talk about Newcastle. I feel really bad for the fans. I really do. I think it's the situation you found yourself in with this guy is just awful. And I think you were lucky this season that there were 3 teams that were worse than you. I think next season you might not be so lucky. But John, I really don't want to be rude, but I might have to go soon.
Because we're going to wrap up. we're going to wrap up very quickly because there's got another couple more minutes anyway. So I'm going to read those two comments quickly, and then I'll ask you one or two quick questions as well before I let you go. And
cool. Yeah, no, sorry about that. I just want. Yeah, that's fine. Good.
Yeah,
this one is,
me too. I'm in the kitchen, and I started understanding that I have to move soon. So.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't even know what time did how long it was on for. But we're on an hour and a half. Just like quickly, so how was Pedro Pereira in a Poco Tony side again, ex-Bristol City? Oh dear.
He did pretty well, and I just saw right now that he's signed a new. I mean, he's still on loan from Benfica, but he's going to go to Udinese, so he's still going to be playing Serie A football next season. And he was a pretty good. I think if you look at the Crotone side, there were a lot of good players, but they just conceded way too many goals. That was the problem. But overall, yeah.
93 goals conceded this season. That's
Unacceptable.
absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Unacceptable. I've read that stuff very quickly. What do you think of the three best clubs in buying cheap, selling big for you? Atalanta.
I'm going to jump in early. I'm going to say Atalanta, Leicester, and Dortmund. I'm going to say Dortmund have to be up there. If they bring in Bellingham for 23, God knows what they're going to sell him for. Haaland, they bought him in for around 20 million, 30 million. They're going to sell him for nearly 200 million, probably. I think Dortmund are definitely it has to be Dortmund, Leicester, and Atalanta for me.
That's exactly my feet. So listen, I was going to say, just to let it go as well. I mean, I'm going to wrap this up very quickly. Just one more question.
Don't worry. Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win Serie A next season? For me, I'm going to say Juventus.
I'm going to say Juventus too, but because I'm going to say Juventus, but because I have my own way of jinxing it, so go Juventus, you've got it, you're going to win it, you deserve it already, and hopefully this is going to jinx it for them.
Oh yeah, you can see it in the title, you're going to see to us, eh? That's how I like it. That is how I love it. That's how you did. Champions, Gudetto winners, 2021-22 season. Yay! We're doing things AC Milan to win it. Well, they need to find four signs in.
Yeah.
But listen, so who do you think is going to win it, Rory?
I'm gonna, just to not say Juventus, I'm gonna say Juventus aren't gonna win it. It's gonna be someone else, but I don't know who. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yeah,
one of the other 19 teams.
That's fine. And the 3 teams going to get relegated. 3 teams going to get relegated. I'm going to say Fiorentina. I don't want to say Salernitana, and I think I'm going to say Cagliari.
Cagliari could.
I think that's probably a fair 3. I think maybe Genoa have been struggling for a while, but yeah, I think Salernitana, Fiorentina, unfortunately. Yeah, I think you got that right. Maybe Cagliari finally dropped this year.
Maybe Torino as well. Maybe Torino.
Torino's a big shout. Yeah, Torino's a big shout.
And one definitely last question. The 3 teams get promoted in Serie A.
Oof, God, I'm gonna say that one of the relegated teams will bounce back up. I'm gonna say maybe Benevento bounce straight back up. Maybe Brescia. Now they've got their. Now they kind of got Inzaghi in charge. And I'm going to say Lecce. I think Lecce were really close last year. They just missed out on automatic promotion, and I think their squad is actually pretty good. I think Lecce will almost definitely get promoted this year.
I like this take. I want to say Brescia because I think that Inzaghi is actually a pretty decent manager. Then Cittadella. I want to say Cittadella because they've been in the playoffs for 3 years in a row, all the way to the final, and they never managed to come up. So I think that they would deserve it. And then I'm going to say Pescara, just because they're from close to where I was born, and they did it terribly this season. So hopefully next year things are going to change like that.
Well, Pescara's is so cheap, but my 3 teams going to be Parma. I'm going to say, oh my God, Brescia, and it's going to be between Lecce and I'm going to say Cittadella, but it'll be great to see Cittadella goes through. So it's going to be asking me for Parma, Brescia, and it's going to be either Lecce or Cittadella, and that will be amazing. That's right, time Cittadella got into Serie A. But guys, did you enjoy coming on? Be sure.
Mate, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Thanks for having us on. It's been great. Yeah. I'm going to quickly say, oh, sorry, Tommy, go on.
Yeah, no, and hopefully we can do it some more time in the future. You can come to our pod. We can come here. Like, it would be a pleasure to keep chatting football together, for sure.
Do you know
Yeah,
what?
definitely.
I would love to, guys. That'd be absolutely amazing. Sort of come on your channel, sort of, and talking about football, Italian movies, Italian especially as well. Yeah, that'd be absolutely amazing. And you guys have been brilliant. And it's been fun as well. Just one more as well. Fiorentina signed Nicolas Gonzalez. Brighton also wanted him as well, by the way, but he's gone to Italy.
Nice.
That's an exciting signing. But before we go, I'm just going to do a quick plug and say, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at Italian Anglo Pod. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's at Anglo Italian Pod. We do episodes. They come out every Friday. We do live shows on Monday. We're taking a bit of a holiday at the moment for the Euros, but do remember us for August, September-ish time. And John, I've wanted a Newcastle fan on for a while to talk everything Newcastle. So you'll be the first one that I will contact, and we can have a Newcastle special at some point.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. Much appreciate that, guys. And you know, get us on the time, and I'll be right away, sort of thing. And but guys, thank you very much indeed for coming on the show. It's been amazing, and enjoy the evening, enjoy the Euros, and let's hope that Italy win the big one. And until then, Forza Italia, Forza Serie, and have a good one, lads.
Beautiful.